All right, I think now's a good time to go ahead and go live. Howdy, folks. Hope y'all are doing well. Hello, hello. Here we go, indeed. First stream of 2024, very exciting. We're going to go ahead and set this up on Q&A mode. I am just going ahead and setting up our GitHub repository as we speak. Generally, to go ahead and get started, first thing I'm going to go is pop the check-in link to the chat so we can check in at this wonderful link right here. Let me double check that's the correct one. Looks good. There we go. Let's pop that in here. 10870. Yeah, welcome. Howdy, folks. Hope y'all are doing well. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what we'll be making today, and then I think on Monday is the next stream, if I recall correctly. That's because I am currently still on vacation, and someone's got to fly back. So we're taking a break for a couple days, but I really wanted to go in and pop in here on the first day, get to hang out with y'all, kick 2024 and begin a week off into pretty high gear. So yeah, we'll be back on Monday at exactly the same time, which should be pretty sweet. So another month, another Global Hack Week indeed. So for today's stream, what I was thinking of doing is that, for those of you who don't know, I've got 5 streams scheduled for January. 2 of them are for building an iOS app, and 3 of them are building for an Android app. And I thought it'd be really fun if we try to build the same app in both languages. The reason why I scheduled an extra session for Android is just because I'm less familiar with it. I've only got about a semester of experience as opposed to, a couple of years at this point. So I'll be going ahead and building out our fun little app, and then going and my goodness, words are hard. I haven't done a stream in so long, but generally speaking, we'll just have a nice fun time building out an app. Goal for this is to build out a little affirmation app. So we'll be working with APIs, we'll be working with design, we'll be working with actually implementing our UI, as well as some, connections to APIs and all of that very fun stuff. So it should be very exciting. Let's go ahead and share my screen real quick. First thing I'm going to do also is pop the GitHub link right here, and we'll just go ahead and use this throughout the project. I'm calling it Cheerify because I didn't have any better idea, so that's it. I'm happy you love the idea. I really like it too. I did something similar for a group project for my Android 101 class not too long ago, and it was really fun. And so I thought it'd be great to try and recreate it in SwiftUI, also because it's something I'm a little bit more familiar with. And be just a really good time. So, currently spending my free time learning Swift and SwiftUI. I have such a soft spot for SwiftUI, as if you've ever been to any of my other Global Hack Week streams, you know this, but Swift is how I got started into, programming to begin with. It was my first programming language. It was how I got started into computer science and kind of really tech as a whole. So I really do hold a very, very soft spot for it. And so I'm very excited to get to work on it throughout all of my streams. So, yep, to answer that question, we will be using Swift and Swift, specifically SwiftUI framework, for the part 1 and 2 of this stream, and then building your first Android app, which is technically a different track on its own, but we'll also be building an Android app, or we'll also be building an affirmation app. That one's going to be done in Kotlin. Oh, great question. Will this be available as a recording to refer to later? Yes. There's going to be a recording on our Twitch right after we're done live, in addition to also a recording on our YouTube page. And those are both MLH. Yeah, there we go. Thank you all for answering the questions. I love it. So there we go. I just went ahead and opened up Xcode. So Xcode is the IDE. So that stands for Integrated Development Environment. For those of you who don't know, which is totally fine. It's effectively a place in which we put our code and have a generally nicer development experience. So it comes with fun little features like, for example, for Xcode, we can see this fun little film right on the bottom here, which is like a content preview, effectively. So different IDEs have different benefits and drawbacks and things that they do better or worse than others. And so you generally want to use an IDE that works well for you and works well for the type of project that you are working on. So some popular IDEs include Visual Studio Code, include the JetBrains suite of products, and then includes, specific IDs for specific scenarios. So at least, like, you could make the case that the Unity code editor could be an IDE. So Xcode, what about VS Code? I really honestly, I don't mind VS Code, but it is not my favorite, and it is especially not my favorite for making iOS apps, just because Xcode, for those of you who may not be familiar, the Apple ecosystem is generally very good at working really well with each other. So if you maybe have an iPhone and a Mac, you might know that you can send your texts to your iPhone and then to your computer and answer them from both if you hook up the appropriate permissions, in addition to, being able to send iMessages to and from your friends from different devices. So Xcode is kind of similar in that way, in which it's just a lot easier to have access to some of the features if you use the development environment that was specifically made for that one purpose. So Swift is made in-house at Apple. It is maintained at Apple. It's also open source, actually. But it's the primary maintainers are Apple, and so they just also maintain Xcode, fully make it in-house, and so all of it is meant to work pretty seamlessly together, which is why I tend to use it. Is this a GitHub repo? Are we cloning or starting? We are cloning or starting a blank project? We are starting completely from scratch today. So what I just did to get started, and the reason why you can't really see it well is, like I mentioned, I'm still on vacation, so all I have to stream on is a singular laptop, which makes things a little bit more complicated. But I just went ahead and went into Xcode and then clicked File, New, Project, and I just went with a blank app. So for those of you who want to follow along, it's going to be in Xcode. Got to figure out it's going to be File, then New, then Project, and then App. So that's how you can kind of go ahead and get started. And then if you want the GitHub repository, this is where we will eventually push up our changes once we get the app set up more concretely. That's where we go from there. So for context, this is kind of what the Xcode IDE looks like. I'm going to expand it a little bit because I liked it. Yeah, we've got another question. I cloned the repo from inside Xcode. Is that all right? So I would say that if I had, already pushed up this, that probably would have been helpful. But because I had not yet pushed up the file, all you're really going to have is my README, my license, and git ignore, which are very important things to have, but you're not going to have the actual project. Can you lower the background music? Absolutely. I have to keep it at around 30%, but I know sometimes that can be a little rough. So there you go. Lower the background music down to 20. Let me know if that's good. There we go. Sweet. So actually now would be a great time to show how to connect this project that we've made up into GitHub. Oh, great. I'm happy people are liking the music. So let's share my terminal window. So welcome to my terminal. There she is in all her glory. And here's a fun little trick that I like using for a terminal. So if you've ever had, oh, there, I accidentally put it just in documents. So if you are not familiar, sorry, my goodness. Let's take a drink of water on that one. We're using SwiftUI. Both have their benefits and merits, but SwiftUI is newer, tends to work better for the types of projects that we're currently going to be making. So we'll be using SwiftUI here. Should I work on the clone of your repo or one on my own? Up to you. If you work on a clone of my repo, you won't be able to push it up to your own source control unless you kind of sever that link at one point. You can also make a fork of the repository, which is probably what I would recommend. That way you can have a version of your own and also be able to pull back any of my changes. So they're kind of connected, but separate. There we go. Yeah, GitHub repository. I'm going to post it back up. Thank you for dropping that in the chat as well. So going back to terminal, in addition to my terminal window open right now, like I mentioned, I'm streaming on a laptop, so all I've got is like one computer screen. I've also got my Finder window up. And so I just drag the Finder. You can kind of see my cursor moving, and this drops my file immediately. And this allows me to change into the directory directly. Okay, I have to make a Git directory. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. We'll clone from the link that I've got right here. Git clone. Oh, it's not an empty directory. Wait. Let's do git init. Yep, git add all. Git commit -m. This is initial commit. Git remote add origin, and I'll explain all of these in a second. Drop my link here. And then git push -u origin main. Failed to push some refs. Boo. All right, that's fine. Okay, I'm gonna have to merge these eventually, but we'll figure this out later. Yeah, you can use your own org identifier. .com.example.project name is fantastic. Can you show us how to make a fork? Absolutely. Let's go ahead and share my screen here. So we are in Chrome at the moment. You can see here we've got Cheerify. It's a public repository. It's got two branches, main and master. We'll have to figure that out eventually. But for now, if you want to create a fork of the master branch that has the code, they can go ahead and click fork right here. And that will help you create a new fork. Because I already have the repository, I'd have to put it in one of my other files, like for example, my global hack week repos organization, and I can either copy the main branch, and you can contribute back to the repository by adding your own branch, but you just click this create fork button. And that is how you make a fork. Very helpful. GitHub is great for anything along these lines. All right, so let's try and consolidate these two branches into one. Actually, we'll deal with this later. Let's go ahead and go back to our project. I mostly just want to get coding, get to some fun stuff. Let's see here. Beautiful. So this is a little bit of what our application programming, our IDE looks like. So we've got a couple of fun different things here. First off, we've got kind of the file directory. So we start off with a project. There's a bunch of settings. We could talk about these for hours. So this is kind of where I put in my bundle identifier, column card from like Cheerify. No Swift data, no core data, at least not today. Launch icons, everything like that. And then we've got our project, our deployment target, etc. And then we've got our main file here, which is cheerify.app. But this is kind of, I would say, the launch file for our project. And then we have content view, which I like to think of as our home screen. And right now our home screen just shows a little hello world. with a little globe icon. And you can see here it uses SwiftUI. And this is pretty much the main code for setting up this page. So we have something like image scale large, foreground color, accent color. So if I change the foreground color to be, say, dot green, then the globe will change from this blue color to this nice green color. If I get rid of the foreground color entirely, it will change back to the default, which in this case is black. I could do foreground color dot red and anything along these lines. It's an easy way to kind of get started with SwiftUI. It loads you to this fun little project. This is a V-stack. It stands for vertical stack. It effectively means, hey, all of the things that are in a V-stack, I want to put on top of each other. So one on top of the other. So it goes globe first, then text. This is Swift, yes. And then padding at the end to just make things line up very nicely. All right, I say we go ahead and get started with the actual project. So I've got a Figma kind of in my head from earlier. Like I mentioned, I've made a similar affirmation app before. And so kind of what I want to do for designing that is get a nice little title on top of the screen here. 2 little menu buttons, actually 3 little menu buttons, our affirmation, and then a nice little button on the bottom to add a new affirmation. So I think we'll start off with setting a nice background color. So let's see, background. Okay, just do like the background color, background style. They're deprecating. Okay, so none of that. All right, so I think I wanted, like I mentioned, start off with a nice color, and I've got a color scheme kind of in mind. Like I mentioned, I've worked on something similar, and I just want to go for a nice little calm brown, sometimes yellow, sometimes brownish yellow, kind of, with some grays and some more contrasting primary colors for buttons and things like that. So let's start off with our home screen here and this color. So let's set a nice little background color just for this to start. So let's see, set background color. There's a couple different ways to set background colors in Swift. This is personally my favorite. So you create a Z-stack. To explain a little bit more about Swift, we have these things called H-stacks. These stand for horizontal stacks. And this says, hey, everything I put, I want it to be side by side. So if I change this to be an H-stack, it's going to move the globe and then the hello world right next to it. Then we have V-stacks, which I explained, put things up and down. And then Z-stacks can be like, what does Z stand for? So if you've ever done math with 3 dimensions, you've got the x-axis, right? That's your left, right, your y-axis, that's your up, down, and then your z-axis, which is your like in, out, if you're trying to visualize a 3-dimensional shape. So Z-stack just effectively means laying things on top of each other. And then that way you can go ahead and set up a background color. And I'm just going to double check my syntax here so we're not making mistakes. So, yes. So we'll do something like color, and then you can create a fun little different color options. So you can put in the red, the green, and the blue. You can put in the hex decimals values. So hue, saturation, brightness, all of these fun different options for setting up a color. I usually just like going with red, green, blue because it's, it's usually pretty easy to find it in different options. The most important thing about setting up colors in SwiftUI is you'll see that these are in double form. So you would think, oh, I can just put in, 250, 242, and let me get rid of that, 250, 242, and 247 or something like that. But in reality, and that would normally work for every other page, but you're like, this looks very white still. So what if I did something like 3, right? And you'd be like, oh, I'd expect that to be a very different color, but it's not. That's because double colors operate on a scale from 0 to 1, where you kind of divide this number by 255. So if I were to divide this number by 255, we'd actually see a color change. But we're, like I mentioned, going for a pretty muted color scheme here today. So we'll add in this pink here and then some nice gray as well. I think I have these numbers flipped because that looks a little bit too pink. There we go, that's better. And then, so I just go ahead and write like this, but you can see here, what's kind of really frustrating right now is that this top bar, which, like, if you're familiar with a newer iPhone, you've got like the little notch where your camera sits, and then the bottom bar, which is called your safe area, or like, I guess both of those are called your safe area. Our background doesn't actually cover those. So there's this dandy little modifier that we can add onto our color property that is .ignores safe area. And that allows for our background to expand all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom. So that's really helpful there. Now let's go ahead and talk through, like I mentioned, I want to create a nice little title for our app. So we're calling our app Cheerify. And so earlier we had this image, globe, and this text that says hello world. So we're not going to need this globe image, as adorable as it is. And so when we actually get rid of that globe image, you see that everything shifts up a little bit. So we can change this text to be Cheerify. And then we can maybe add in another section of text that's right below it. That's something like your daily affirmation companion. And so right now you're kind of like, okay, these are not great because it looks like, and also I kind of want to do all lowercase for fun. Actually, no, I don't like that either. Maybe we'll just do daily affirmation companion. Either way, what I'm saying is the issue right now is that this text is just sitting here in the middle. Don't really love that. And also it's the same size. It looks the exact same, and that's not really, and honestly, it's kind of a dark color that doesn't work very well for our use as well. Like the black on the very, like I mentioned, we want to go slightly muted. So let's go ahead and try and modify some of this text property. So great, we've got a font and a foreground color, bold, font weight, design width. And then we've got font here allows us to modify, my goodness, the font. And then we can change all of these fun little properties. So let's say I want to make it a sub-headline. And so you can see that made the text smaller. Let's say I want to make it a large title. That sounds pretty promising, right? That made this text a lot bigger. And so that's generally helpful because we're like, oh, okay, I can see that. And now we can, for example, change this to be, a lot smaller, like a footnote. So now we're seeing, oh, there's some variation in text sizes, but instead of me being, oh, this needs to be exactly 48 pixels, and this needs to be exactly 32 pixels, or this needs to be 12 pixels, you can use the large title and the footnote modifiers to work with all of the other wonderful things that are sort of built into these devices. So let's say someone, for example, uses a tool or software, or generally has their font enlarged in apps. That way you can see effectively, oh, hey, this is actually like 200% bigger. So it's saying more so, oh, I want this to look like large titles and not have it be constrained to a specific font size, which is really helpful when you're building apps for tons of different people, tons of different use cases. So I really like that part. And then let's change the color of it as well. So like I mentioned, we can change the color. And so within this, we want to use this foreground color modifier. And into here, we can pass in a color object. So a color object can consist of a red, a green, and a blue. And then opacity on a scale from 0 to 1, like we mentioned earlier. So I've got my pre-saved value here. So it's going to be 63 over 255, then 65 over 255, and finally we'll do 78 over 255. So there we go, like a nice little slightly muted gray. That works very well for that. I do also want to make this pretty bold. So I think that looks pretty good. And let's think about some of these fonts. I think this one makes a lot of sense. So we got a nice little font here. But the thing is I really want this to be on the top of the page. Like, I don't like how it's sitting in the middle right now. So let's try and maybe add some padding to the bottom of our VStack. This adds padding in between elements. So let's add this thing called a spacer. So a spacer, it says right here, a flexible space that expands along the major axis if it's containing stack layout, or if both axes if not contained in a stack. So that's a long way of saying like, oh, it's just some space that I'm going to add into the bottom of this vertical stack so that it fills up the screen as needed. And so that allows you to effectively make a responsive app without having to say exact dimensions of, oh, this needs to be 600 pixels away from the bottom of the phone. But what if, 600 pixels on an iPhone 14, for example, is different than 600 pixels on an iPhone 8? Just due to like the sheer size of the phone. Even along that, if you've got the smallest phone versus the Pro Max, different screen sizes. Ooh, I wish I had a Mac, but I've been using the Project IDX. It gives virtual iPhone for Flutter, but Apple developer plan is too much. Yeah, I feel you there. It's really hard, and I think it is intentional to develop develop Apple ecosystem apps at any point on non-Apple ecosystem devices. So kind of reel you in with the Mac vibe. But so we've got this nice thing here, and I want to just go ahead and change this foreground color here too. Add it in here. So what can we use alternatively instead of Xcode? If you go ahead and clone my repository, you will be able to follow along and do everything like with Visual Studio Code. But if you can get it because you have a Mac, I highly recommend it. If it's giving you issues through the App Store, there's a whole like Apple developer page that walks you through alternatives on install that I honestly recommend. All right, so daily affirmation companion, and I just want to change this weight to be like a semi-bold. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. So within here, I'm gonna eventually want to add some buttons to either side. Swift doesn't do hex color values? Yeah. I honestly don't know. I've never done this is really funny, but I don't think I've ever used hex in Swift, just because like it is a very funny story. But I grew up playing The Sims, and especially The Sims 3, you would always set the colors in RGB, and so I have it engraved in my head to default RGB if it's an option. And so there we go. I'm following. It does not look like mine at all. I know. You don't have to name the folder or anything. You should just be able to clone my project from GitHub and then go from there. Right now, it's just a blank like hello world page. And if you copy all the stuff we have in here so far, you should be good to go there. So yeah, I definitely want to create a little circular button on the top to view our menu. So let's go ahead and add that in next. So let's try and make a fun little button, shall we? So let me go ahead and so let's try and make it just in this VStack for now. We're like, okay, I like it where it is in the VStack. Let's, pop it in somewhere around here. So we'll say we want to create a button, and our button's going to have some action, which does something. And then it is going to have a label. So this is a pretty common way to create a button. So it has an action and a label. So when we expand it out like that, this is what it looks like. RGB is also a bit more understandable than hex. I like RGB. Justice for RGB. All right, let's see here. We got an action. So for now, we'll just add in a print statement that says action button, something like that. Or we can just say button. And then a label, we have to put some form of label in it. So let's put in some text that says hello. And so right now, there you go, we've got a button up there. But I'm seeing a couple issues with this button. So we can do, you know, like I mentioned, I kind of want this button to be on the left rather than, you know, right on the bottom here. Like I want it to be on the left right here. I think that would look a lot better. So let's try and do that. So we're going to have to add another VStack. That is for all of the bigger elements that are going to be eventually joining us. And then we're going to add in an HStack. So kind of a horizontal element. And I'll explain why in a little bit more detail in a second. First off, show you off what it looks like and then kind of explain why. Oh. That's the spacer needs to go here now. Right? To cover both of them. No, that's the spacer, the HStack. Here. Aha! There you go. So, as you can see, we've got, we've moved the button to the top. And so the reason why this is we changed the way that these kind of stacks function. So first we've got our three-dimensional stack that places the background and then places everything else on top of it, right? Then within that, we've got our vertical stack, which places right now a horizontal stack and a spacer. So it's saying, hey, I have this stack of horizontal things, and then below that, I just want you to leave a bunch of space. Then within the horizontal stack, we have the button, which we just made, and then a vertical stack for the title and the subsection, effectively. So, a couple things. First off, I don't love the text here. So I might just make this button empty, and I want to make it look like a circle. So we'll do a frame, and we'll set some width to it. We'll say width and height. 75 seems good. Height 75, right? And then we'll do a foreground color, and that'll allow us to set, or actually no, we'll do a background color because that'll also allow us to set we'll do color dot black for now. And that should create this fun little box that looks kind of funky at the moment. And then I want to create a clip shape dot circle, please. Or is it just circle? Circle. No? It needs to be initialized like that. There you go. This is a pretty cute button right there. Definitely want to make it a little smaller. We'll go like 50 by 50. I think that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, 50 by 50 looks good. And then the other thing I really want is to have some space in between these two. So push this all the way in, or potentially do the button, then this thing, and then the spacer like that. I don't love that either, so we might do the button, then the spacer, and then add in more buttons over there eventually. So let's say, for example, I definitely want to change the color of this button. And like I mentioned, I already have a color in mind, so let me grab it. And then I want to add in a plus button to this. So let's try and, so I would have mentioned this 0 hex. So that's a UI color, name, color space white. It's a grayscale color, hue, saturation, brightness. That's a UI kit color set that you indicate by name. Core graphics colors. You know what? Let's try it. Add color as hex SwiftUI. Important for all of us to learn. Something more fun. Oh wait, no, this is not helpful. Yeah, this is just using it using extensions. So you'd have to extend the color class in order to use hex, which could be worth it if you're doing a lot of color work, for example. But in my case, I think we'll just stick with this. So for now, let's copy over the color of the. All right, come on. Yes, there we go. So we just copied the color over of the text at the moment, which I'm not loving for this. I think that's a little bit too dark for a button. So let me just grab our original color here, which I've got saved, and that's going to be, well, original. You haven't seen my final design, but 196, 197, and 202. Aha, there we go. And so I'm noticing a couple issues here. First off, I don't like that we've got like no space for this. So I want to give this button some breathing room. So we'll add in some padding. So let's do padding. And then we can do dot leading. So that just tells me, hey, from the side of the thing. And I'm just going to give it 10 pixels to breathe. And then we'll do the same thing on the back of the VStack here. So I just want to give this one also some breathing room. Instead of leading, I want it to be trailing. So it goes on the other side. There we go. There's some more breathing room for both of them. And then I also want to add in a second button. So we'll add in another button right here. So this is going to be a second button with no text. And I'm going to make one of these a menu button and another one of these a plus button. So maybe we can do, how do you do the triple equal sign? That's not equals. Command Shift. Nope, that increases my code screen size. Maybe I should do that anyway. Nope, no, not that one. That's my other interface. I want this one to be bigger. Maybe that helps y'all. Let's see here. I want to get the triple equal sign. There we go. We'll get that in. And so I like that, but the size of that's really going to be bigger. So it's going to be, we're going to make it title, I think. And then I want to change the foreground color. So that's going to be the color of the text. And so I think I'm going to just make it color dot white. All right, that looks pretty good. And then, or actually, let's see. Maybe we'll actually make a proper hamburger menu. But for now, this is a good fake way to do it. Font title, foreground, background, text, plus. There we go. So we've got a nice little hamburger menu using a triple equal sign and then a plus sign for our buttons. And so I'll add in some comments here as to what these buttons will do. So this will be our view menu button. I'm going to increase the screen size here. View menu button. And then this is going to be our add affirmation button. And then I also want to create a second button on the other side. And that's going to be kind of similar to this one, with the only exception being I want it to be... but now I don't like that this is not in center, which makes sense that it's not, but still. So we'll probably have to center this in the middle of the screen, but we'll figure out how to do that in a second. So instead of this being a plus button, I want to make it a heart. So how do I add a heart to... Actually, can I want to add system images to text Swift or to button SwiftUI. And so for this, I wanna okay, so I can maybe do it instead as Okay, I want to open up the systems library. Oh, but y'all then can't see it. Ah, that's so unfortunate. Yeah, I can see your message. That's what I'm thinking, using SF symbols. Love SF symbols, they're my favorite. So maybe, how do I add SF symbols instead of text, or add SF symbols into buttons? There we go. Or can I instead have an image of system name add, I think? Yeah, I'm gonna look up the exact system name that I want. So I want it to be a plus. Go literal plus sign. Plus. So it is called plus. Plus. There we go. And then I want something along the lines of the hamburger menu. Maybe menu? That's a menu card, like the 3 lines, 3 lines. Or maybe, what is it called in identical? No. So I want the one that's like, yeah, that's plus. Yep. Let's see here. Hamburger. If you've got the name for the hamburger menu SwiftUI SF symbol, please. Yes, please check for the hamburger menu one. You know exactly what I'm talking about too. If not, I can use like a different menu icon, but I like the hamburger. It's classic. And generally I also have to swap it out here. So for now, we'll go with this. Up here, we've got 2 plus buttons, Command Shift L. We can do like a menu. Not a menu card, just like a, not even a trash can, not a folder, because that's 2. Tray, external hard drives, archive boxes, all of the fun options. Clipboards, clipboard could work. Plain text doc, bullet list, terminal note, arrow shape left, arrow shape right. I don't want to use an arrow unless like you really do not have a better option, because I feel like arrow is going to make people think it's to go back. Backpack, paperclip, link, person, art frames, more people on a walk. Ah, I did note they added all of the fun figure ones. Those are my favorite. I used a lot of those this summer. Lanes, soccer, basketball, all the trophies, sleep, wake, power, clear, delete, shift, eject, keyboard, peace sign, network, sun, moon. Aw, cloud. My goodness. You use Xcode and then you use previews. Water droplets, umbrellas, play, pause, stop, playback, forward. Oh my goodness. Is there really not just like a regular good old hamburger menu and we've got 7 million other options? I mean, I would believe that, but still. Looking through all these fun options here is so exciting. Just kidding. I know you're all are. What is she doing? bell slash, tag slash. Any luck on the hamburger menu one? Line 3 dot horizontal. I found it. Found it. I did it. Yes. It is because it looks like the hamburger, right? Equal dot circle. That could work. We did it. All right, let's see. The main reason why I got started on the SF symbol one to begin with is because I wanted to find a heart. So we could heart our affirmations. Oh, that's that. This is a text now. It's not what I want anymore. I want it to be an image with the system name. What error is it showing you for your build failing? Let's drop it. We'll see if we can find it. I want a heart. Aha! Wait, is there like a different heart, like a filled heart? Heart, please. Suit heart fill. That could work. Heart.fill? Let's do heart.fill. Yeah, share your error code. We can totally take a look at it. All right. Let's see here. I don't like that these are like they don't feel centered. You know what I mean? And I don't love that. So we'll do, maybe let's do the spacer and then we'll add in the button here. I feel like they're slanted that way a little bit. Yeah, I like the spacer, but I do think we need kind of a bit more room. Ah! The Mac app provisioning profile. You should be able to Google that error and figure out what the issue is. You probably just need to set up like your Xcode ID to use a free, like to connect to your Apple ID. It's usually a big issue there. Okay, how can I center things within an HStack? Why, thank you. I'm happy you're enjoying it. My goodness, why is my throat so weird? We're gonna take a water break. Water break. See, I don't want to use negative. See, that's spacer. I've got too many things on here. I don't even know if I can center this text with how much stuff there is right now in here. Can I center? Ah, Happy New Year. You're here. I wonder if I can center this well. Right now, see, like this. Makes sense to me. Might need to get rid of this trailing padding here quickly. Okay. And maybe this leading padding as well. Okay. It does not look super centered. But what if I added in some padding? Was, you know, we got some. That's what I'm thinking. Then I'm going to have to make them smaller. So let's do like 40. And then maybe change this to be title 2. You can move the plus and the heart button to the bottom, that's for sure. I actually really like that plan. Let's do that. So we'll keep the menu here, and then let's take the plus and the heart button out here. Oh, wait. Oh, I gotta make sure I get all the correct parentheses to go with it. Okay, and now let's try and add it to the bottom of this V-stack. So we've got a spacer to the bottom of it, right? This is the bottom of the H-stack. So V-stack, get some H-stack, then get another H-stack down here. That would do this thing. There we go. Okay. And then I can definitely get rid of this spacer. And then instead, let's add in some padding that is just pushing it to the left. So padding dot trailing, maybe like 100. No, because that then pushes it. So how would so if I add in a spacer here, right, then that pushes this all the way to the left. Then I add in some padding that is leading, maybe something like 10. And then I've got to add in this, which has to have, add it to the H stack. That might be the move. No, it's already in the H stack. Yeah, it's already in the H stack. It's the button, then padding, then a spacer, right? Because if I add it into the H stack like this, then it pushes this too far out, if that makes sense. Like, so what if I added in like negative padding here, like negative 40? Oh. Wait. That looks pretty good. Oh, nice. I have not heard of that band, but I do like fun little mellow music. That looks centered, right? Is my brain... Ooh, spacing on the parent H stack could work. Honestly, this negative spacing looks good for now, and I'm too scared to mess with it. We'll revisit it if we got time. Make a ghost button on the right of Cheerify and put spacers between. I like that too, actually. Let's see that. So padding leading 10. We can make some ghost buttons. Love it. Love a good ghost button. Alright, yeah. I'll add it in as an idea for the future. We'll do that. So we'll make a nice little comment here that says, to do please. Fix the padding for menu and title. Great. There we go. Alrighty. Up next, we've got actually putting in our fun little affirmation. So I want to add this right to the middle of the page, roughly. So we'll see it right here. We'll add in a second spacer, and I want to add in some text that says, "This is my affirmation." Yay. All right. To the person that is currently, yeah, I'm on it. Don't worry. Give me 1 second and I'll get to it. Nope, I don't want to show that. Ah. Come on. Let me moderate. Why are you not letting me moderate? Usually it just gives me an option to moderate. Let me see. Technical difficulties, please stand by. We're gonna have to look something up in all of the little fun. All right, I'll have to deal with it later. Yeah, probably a bot. Okay. Hopefully, seem to have calmed down. If it comes back, we'll deal with it. But right now, I cannot figure it out without like exiting the stream and pausing it. So we might have to make take a 5-minute break at 3 o'clock or something, and I'll deal with it. It's 2:55 for context. So if they're back, if they're not back, that's fine. Okay, so we've got our little affirmation, right? So, oh, I kind of also want to make a refresh button. I know this is kind of all weird, but I kind of want to make a little refresh button. So what if I add in a spacer now, and then I made a button this way, right? Like I added in a button here. Or what if I added in, wait, no, I've got an idea. 2 spacers. Spacer, spacer. Aha! Yes! And then padding, dot leading, 10. And then padding, get me this button, padding, dot trailing, 10. And so I think I'm going to swap these around. I want this to be the plus button. And on the bottom here, I'm going to have a heart button and then a refresh button. So I need to figure out what is the subtext for refresh. Shift L, refresh, arrow clockwise. There we go. Okay, so this will be arrow dot clockwise. Aha, there we go. And to copy that same syntax that we've got over there, we would get something like a spacer in between these two. There we go. And then also some equivalent padding on either side. So we do something like padding dot leading 10 and then padding dot trailing 10. There we go. Beautiful. Ah, she looks so good already. All right, so let me add in, obviously we want to make our text bigger. And so for what all of these buttons are going to do is this is going to be our favorite affirmation button. This is going to be our refresh affirmation button. And then this is going to be our view menu button. This is going to be our, add affirmation button. And then this is going to be our view menu button. And then that is that. Beautiful. Okay. And then we've got, I just want to make this text bigger and I think we'll be done designing our main screen here. Except, you know, for actually like saying this is my affirmation EA, we'll want to pull that in from somewhere. Oh, is Swift the only language you can use for Xcode and these iOS apps? There's tons of different ways you can make iOS apps. Swift is, I mean, kind of the preferred language, not always, but it, especially if you're doing native development, it is, you know, the preferred language at this point. It's a successor to Objective-C, which has been out for a very long time and was used to make kind of pretty much every Mac-esque app for quite a while. And then if you want to make cross-platform apps, you've got tons of different options. So something like Flutter, React Native, things like that. And then I'm just setting the multi-line text alignment to center, so make sure our affirmation is nice and centered. This looks beautiful. I have this darker color in mind for the background that I actually think I kind of want to swap to. So it's 242, 237. You can see it flashing in the meantime, and 228. Aha, there you go. That's really cute. Briefly, if I had a React Web, how would I get it on my phone or iPad when I need a developer pack for Xcode? If you have a Mac, I think so. I think you pretty much do then at that point. You don't even need the paid developer pack, like the Apple developer license. If you want to keep it for like just a set period of time, 7 days, then I think you can just use your free developer account, but you will need a Mac. I'm like 99% sure. You unfortunately cannot use Xcode on a Windows laptop, which is one of the saddest parts. You can write Swift on a Windows laptop, but you cannot use Xcode. Xcode is only available on the App Store / for Mac devices. Might be also available for Linux, but do not quote me on that. So there's that. All right, this is my affirmation. Yay. We'll add a little exclamation point too. So yeah, this is the design of our app so far. So now what do we want to do, I think, is we want to get our affirmations from some form of API. So I think we'll call, a 5-ish minute break right now. We'll be back at 3:05. I'll use that time we'll use that time to figure out some of this Twitch stuff that we're having issues with, and then we will go ahead and go from there. So, to answer it on transfer React code to Xcode, when you build a React Native app specifically, I'm not 100% sure on React Native because I have not done extensive iOS development with it. But at least when you build an iOS app in Flutter, when you compile it for iOS, it compiles it into like Xcode executable code. So that helps a little bit that way. All right, let's call a quick 5-minute break. In the meantime, drop any questions in the chat and I'll answer them right as I come back. And I will see you all in roughly 5, max 10 minutes. All right, see y'all then. And we're back. There we go. Hello, everybody. Thank y'all for your patience. And I got the person timed out, which we're all good there. So lots of helpful questions in the chat, including one saying, hey, what happened to all the work so far? Why can't I see it on the GitHub? It's not pushed, so you can see it in the GitHub. And that is lovely. Just a quick break, like mentioned, all the work so far, you can find it on the GitHub. I'll go ahead and paste the GitHub link in the chat again for any of our nice newcomers. Hello, howdy. And I did just go ahead and spend some time looking for how to make our actual API request. But the main thing that I'm looking for right now is a good affirmation API. So all right, so I went ahead and found a fun little API that is open source. So I'm going to go ahead and give credit to this wonderful little creator here. So this is their API, and you can access it at affirmations.dev. And when you just access it in your browser, it will go ahead and generate a new affirmation for you. So we'll go ahead and just keep working on our app. So to actually pull in this affirmation, we'll be using some fun stuff. Let's start off with a private variable that's a joke. And so for this, I'm gonna have to explain this real quickly, but let's not use joke, we'll use affirmation. So, and this needs to go in our content view, but not our body. Yeah, I know. So it looks good. Okay, so explaining at state. So I'll type it into here. So it's a property wrapper type that can read and write a value managed by SwiftUI. So to long story short, if a value is modified at any point, you can go ahead and see. You can go ahead and then, if you change the value, you can change it within the code itself. So within this, we've got our text, which is our affirmation. So let's just try and update it. So instead of text being, this is my affirmation, yay, I want to make my text to be just the variable affirmation. And right now, affirmation is nothing. Yeah, thank you so much for answering all these questions. This is where you can see console output. There you go. Probably should have made that clearer at one point. But that's why it's so helpful to have a great chat. All right, so right now you can see our affirmation's blank. I overrode this affirmation with this, and I kind of just want to say, hello, and that we'll go ahead and refresh, and that will become our affirmation. So if I put here, we can put something like, get started by pressing the refresh button, for example. And so that's just going to show us our affirmation here. And then when we press our refresh button, we'll make a call to our API. So let's find our refresh affirmation button. We'll add in here, we'll say And you can see the output now right here in the console button. So we'll say, make a call to our affirmation API. Let's do that. So we'll make an API call. So we'll say task is let data, and then some other stuff that's going to come back that does not really matter to us. And we'll say try to await a URL session dot shared dot data from a URL, which will be a string, and we'll have to unwrap the URL. And the string that we'll be using is our affirmations.dev. So we'll go ahead and copy that, paste that. And then we'll say, okay, that looks good. Let's go ahead and, I lost something. There we go. And then we'll say, we got our data, right? Then we say, let the decoded response be try. So we'll just say, hey, attempt to do this. And we'll call a fun little library called JSON decoder dot decoded response. Or no, it's not a decoded response, dot decode. And then we'll call it on okay, we might have to create an affirmation. So we'll say decode affirmation from data. And we'll probably get an error or two, which is perfectly fine, because the question mark needs to go next to that. Happy New Year. Exciting. Yes, type of expression is ambiguous without more context. What do you mean? There's nothing ambiguous about it. Can I get rid of the task to begin with? Should probably be able to. Ah, no, it does need to be, because these are asynchronous tasks. That makes sense. Okay. And then we'll just say affirmation. We can just say something like var value is of type string optional and is defined as nothing for now. And we'll set it to value, and then we'll say our affirmation will be equal to value or nothing. Oh, I might need to make a structure. Close the left panel and bump up the font size a smidge. Absolutely. There you go. There we go. Alrighty. I'm so happy to hear that. What kind of app are you building? We're building an affirmation app. It's going fun so far. So let's do something like, we can maybe also close out this guy and expand the size of this a little bit. That might help too. Is that better? Sweet. So I think I might need to create a little structure in which we put our affirmation. So this is going to be just a pretty quick Kind of going to break some coding principles here and just drop it in the bottom of this file, mostly because I can clean this up after the stream. It's going to be codable, which means it can convert itself, and it's going to have a value, which is going to be of type string. There we go. And then within the task here, what we can do is have the value here be set to be affirmation.self, just our structure. And our affirmation will then be set to be decoded response.value. Decoded response.value, please. Or actually, no, it should be value. I need to be this, decoded response. Need these guys on it. Here we go. All good. We're happy you're here. Here we go. Nice. Okay. Let's try and refresh. Okay. Did not get any value back, which is unfortunate. Looks like we made the call, but it did not get back to us any value. So let's try and print out some of these, maybe. So let's see if we can print data dot count. Sure, we'll try that. I'll try to print a string of data when we make the call. We'll do some debugging. We love debugging. What ID is this? This is Xcode. I'll drop it in the chat, spelled like this. There we go. Yes, print string. Oh, I can't print string.data. Can I just print data? I want to debug. Let me debug. I might have to like do breakpoints, but I have to run the app. Ooh, that'll be tough. Okay, print data. Then I want to print. Oh, you do not like that. Okay, what's wrong? No, okay. So print affirmation.self. Yes. I want you to print decoded response dot value. Yeah, let's try that. And so I want to go ahead and yeah, or we'll print instead something like value is not working for some reason. All right, let's try that. So we're getting back data, which is 31 bytes. Looks like our call is working, but we're hitting this value is not working for some reason. So let's try and add in failed here. Aha! So it is in fact failing. So our decoding of the response seems to be acting weird. So let me find this API that I am looking at a sample right now on how to make it REST API go on SwiftUI in 2 minutes, for those of you who are wondering. This is the link, because I always like dropping resources that are helpful in the chat, for especially what I'm doing. But I do want to see real quickly what this Chuck Norris joke API that they're using looks like. Oh, it outputs like, oh, it outputs a ton of stuff. So that's why it needs to be affirmation, right? And you say affirmation here. We'll try that. Aha! Got it. Just was making the call to the wrong name. But look at that. We have an API call. Sweet. We can get rid of these prints. So now we have a functional API call using the free API that we found. So cool. Ah, I know, debugging is so fun. Well, we did it. A couple of things that I'm noticing is when we've got a larger text, it's kind of like, it doesn't have a lot of good padding. So I want to add in some padding to this. So we can just add in dot padding. There we go. Looks great. Cheerified Daily Affirmation Companion. Now when we refresh, we get that, and that looks great. All right, sweet. I do want to change the default affirmation, kind of, because I think that'd be fun. We'll go starting as the most difficult step, but you can do it. Actually, can I just like have a list of how can I make an API call upon app launch SwiftUI? On a peer. That could work. That would be on a peer of the body, right? In which that goes. Navigation. I'm so bad. Yes, it's on a peer of the body. So I think that's... Actually, is it? What? Maybe on... Or would be on this, on a peer? Yeah, on a peer. I want to, on a peer, I want to do some stuff. I just want to make another API call. Let's try that. Aha! We got it to refresh. We're using Copilot to ask your question. Not at the moment. I actually don't have Copilot set up on this computer anymore because I am very bad at renewing my GitHub student developer license, which is so sad. Where do you start from? Oh my goodness, what has happened to my throat? I will take this time to update the code. So working affirmation API. And you can go ahead and start directly at our GitHub link. So go ahead and paste that for you in just a few seconds. Da-da-da-da-da-da. There we go. Love it. All right. We're resourceful and clever. Why, thank you. Oh my goodness. All right. We fixed the padding for menu and title, so that looks good. We've got our refresh button, our heart button. I kind of honestly want to have the heart be empty unless we like the affirmation. So right now when we press this button, we just print out button. So we have print out, we'll do our print menu button. We'll do a print here. That is add button. And then we got rid of this print here because now it refreshes the affirmations, and we'll do a print here called favorite button. So let's see here. I think I want to focus on Let's maybe build out a menu, shall we? We're doing great on time. So build a menu. Well, I think it's time to build out a new screen, shall we? So let's close out. We'll have to open up this bar and we'll create a new file. It'll be SwiftUI view. We'll call it the menu view. And we'll hop right into it. So I want to go ahead and navigate on button click SwiftUI. We can go ahead and just navigate to the menu view here. See that? Nah, I knew it wasn't gonna like this. One of the things I'm the worst at always is navigation. So what if I change it to be a navigation link of value? Sure, new view. And sure, I'll add in a navigation stack too. Needs to probably be above the V stack, navigation stack. Gotta add another closing brace somewhere around here. Looks good. So navigation link. In the H stack. So if I added in text here and was like help, yeah, so this would navigate to our menu view. So I could do something like this. State private var path is navigation path. All right, we got no questions in the chat. That's good. All right, then we'd have a navigation path stack with a path. We'll say the button instead of using the navigation stack to begin with. We'll just have it append menu view. And then we have to add in the navigation destination. So we'll do that right on the it actually happens on the back of the button, no? Like it'd be here. Right? Yeah. So we'll do something like navigation destination. And then we'll say menu view. Aha! There we go. Got a nice little back and forth into our menu button and back. So that looks great. All right, so I think I want to go to our menu view and work on designing that. So we'll do a quick transition and we'll just, use it, kind of start off with what we had from here. I do want to really quickly add in the background. Then I also want to go ahead and figure out how to hide the back button so I can make my own hide back button, or create custom back button SwiftUI. Yeah. Okay, so we'll want to use in here navigation back button hidden is true, right? Is it just complaining of because of this? What do you not like about my code? Tell me. Expected declaration, so you don't go there. Navigation is the thing that I still struggle the most with. I must wholeheartedly admit. Navigations and asynchronous requests, which is also why I decided to make this app, because I was like, oh, we'll have tons of navigation asynchronous requests. Let's see here. Okay, now I don't have a back button, which is great. That's exactly kind of what we wanted. So this button will be in here. And then we'll create our custom back button. So we'll call it back button here. And let's get some code for it. So I'll get it from this lovely handy dandy little Stack Overflow post I've got open on like 7 trillion tabs. So we'll call it back button for now. It needs to go above the body. So go up here. It's still in the structure. That makes sense. This is where we actually create the button styling. So this is where we'll go and grab one of these buttons. So if I go in here now, should be able to just, aha, yes. So if I don't want it to be, also, I don't think I ever grabbed the, actually, why is this title and not title 2? I feel like I changed that. It's fine. Let's try title 2 here because it looked funky. And then I do want to change this from line 3 horizontal to be home. House. There we go. House. So now if you go into content view, back and forth. Yes. Wait, how is menu view created? File, new, file, SwiftUI view. So file, new, file, SwiftUI view. Just like that. So I don't like how it's shifting. Like, this might be really nitpicky, but it's shifting this up. And so I don't love that. So we might have to do something like, nope. Like maybe like 10 leading padding and then compare the two again. Oh no. There's too much padding, so let's add in like a bottom of 5. Want to make these look kind of consistent? Of course, happy to help. See, I feel like we need way more padding than 5 on the bottom here. What about like 15? Oh wait, no, it's top, not bottom. It's padding from the top, so like 10 should work. Let's try that. Pretty good. Sweet. All right, so this is, yes, you can absolutely watch the stream again. It'll be on our YouTube and on our Twitch. And then got our favorite button, which will be slightly more complicated because we'll have to save our favorites into some database. We will get our view menu button, which we're working on right now. And so there we go. We got that right there. Got the up and the down. I think, want to change this to be title 3 or something. Slightly smaller. Why does that not change the house at all? I feel like it doesn't change the house. That's fine. Did you call preview in the triofy.app file? Yeah, I do. It's right here. Or actually not in triofy.app. You call preview in content view.previews. Like at the bottom of content view and then menu view, which is also why the back button, for example, is not showing in the menu view preview, because yeah, if you accidentally remove the preview, there's a couple different ways to remove it. So first off, check that you've got this canvas button clicked, so you've got this menu list, and it says show editor only canvas assistant layout. You want to be on canvas and just make sure that's selected. Or maybe you are also missing this plus button here. That might help. Those are tend to be the 2 most common places in which people kind of miss the menu. Okay. So I don't know what we actually need to put in a menu. Not gonna lie, we just made it. So why don't we work on maybe creating some custom affirmations? So we'll create another add menu. So we'll create a new file, call it SwiftUI view. I'll call it the add view. And we'll do something kind of similar to the way we handled this one. So we'll path append menu view. And then when we call the add button, and let me close out of this again. And when we call the add button, I want to just path append add view and then print add button, at least for now. And then text on the affirmation on appear when we press, or where is the navigation thingy? We just need to add in the navigation destination on the bottom of the add button. Where's the add button? There it is. Navigation destination is going to be add view. So now let me click on it. Uh-oh. Why are they both going to the home view? That's not good. Okay, I might need to actually do the thing where it's like if. Let's see this. So this will be add view. So let's see here. Go back home, go to home. Great. All right, these are different. We are good there. There we go. We've got add view here. So we'll want to kind of do the same setup that we just did in menu in the add view. So let's go ahead and get some of this in here. Let's pop in add view. And then we've got the body. It will look pretty similar. So let's see here. So within our add view, I think it's kind of a little bit more clear as to what we actually want to add into it. So we'll have our VStack here. That's our, Cheerify, your daily affirmation companion, and then a spacer. Let's do that really quickly. So we'll do the Z stack, it's that, and then there's a VStack in it. It says VStack, Cheerify, and then a spacer right at the end. Ta-da! Beautiful, beautiful. Cheerify, daily affirmation companion. There we go. And then in here, I want to add a text box, which is where we add our affirmations. So kind of below this spacer, but it'll probably be like a spacer here and a spacer here in reality. And then we'll have a little box that says text field that takes in a title, which is add your affirmation here, and then a value, which we're going to have I think it goes state var new affirmation, which is going to be of types string, and begin with an empty value, new affirmation, and then no formatter. Really? I need a formatter? I'm surprised. I don't remember that. Okay, can I just declare an empty formatter? Uh-oh. My app just crashed. Womp womp. Okay. Let me do that real quick. Let's recruit some Google help, shall we? Add text field SwiftUI, please. Do something like enter your name, text, $ affirmation. So we'll do something like enter your new affirmation. The multi-line text alignment center makes sense. Yep. Let's refresh. Aha, there we go. So we've got enter your new affirmation showing up right here. And that should bring up the ability to type, please. Hello? That's weird. Interesting. Let's go ahead and try and run it on. Try and go into it from here. Oh, wait, what? No, this is add view. That is so strange. Let's just try and run it on the phone. So I'll pause sharing this screen here and share the simulator so y'all can see it load up. There we go. Here it is. Beautiful. In all her little glory. And we can use this to check on the app for a bit. Yep, it's going to load in. Do its thing for a second or two. We'll check my phone, notifications, get a drink of water, take a look at this. Why are you taking so long to load? Yes, not now, please. Okay, so the menu looks good, but for add view, it looks like for some reason we're still loading into yeah, for some reason it's also deleting the new affirmation text. Is it because it's being declared to? No. Help? Yeah, so it's for some reason deleting the new affirmation text all the time, which is not great. So that's not good. Also, it's not linking add view to this for some reason. Add view, please. This is not what add view looks like, though. You have a very functional add view. Oh, it's in the wrong place. That'll do it. No? Should have done it. Uh-oh. Where did it go? Help? Okay, so it's still getting the weird issue with the, oh, also I'm not sharing the right screen anymore, so. We can disregard that, and then let's go ahead and go back to sharing my home screen. There we are. Looks great. Our daily affirmation opinion. Content view. Yep, looks good. This button right now does nothing besides printing. This button goes to a home page. This button functions, which is awesome. This button links to a page that it should not link to, but it still links to for some reason. Might just need to. Okay, there. No, wait, now it links both of them to menu view. So. They're working on the same app. They're all working on the same app. Okay, menu view. So right now it links to menu view no matter what I do, which feels a little strange. We're using Xcode. So let's see here. Menu view, if path is equal to menu view, then we want to display menu view. Path is equal to, if I were to change this, right, then it would become add view. Then I want to call add view. What do you not like? I'm sorry, it's view. And then view. All right. I might just remove the navigation destinations from these, honestly, just for now at least. Wait, can I, instead of a button, use a navigation link? Let me try that. Aha! There we go. Hello. Well, oh wait. It's still doing the weird thing with the text. But that's a problem for later. So I can, instead of this weird stuff with the navigation path, navigation stack here, I can just replace this part with navigation link. Call this to menu view. All right. See, that looks good. That makes sense. I am from Poland, yeah. All right, let's see. This text box is acting funny, so I don't want to push a broken code because that is mean and makes no sense. So we're going to get rid of this text field, and we're going to leave what we have right now, which is, well, a home button, a plus button, a refresh button, and a heart button that doesn't do anything. But it does refresh affirmations, it does link to the button, it is connected to an API, and we do have this. So I do definitely want to swap out some of these. So let me see if I can like swap this out. Can I pop it in an H stack? Maybe. That says something like has the back button. And then a spacer. Actually, how did we do this weird stuff? Ah, we added a second button. I don't know if that works here. We'll figure it out. Long story short, what about back button, spacer, these guys, and then a spacer? Okay. And then maybe padding. Dot trailing would be like nope. Nah, this is Swift. Is the initial message never showed because the API loads automatically? Yep, that's exactly it. All right. And then let's see here. Yeah, preview crashed, I know. Back button, and then it'll be padding dot trailing, maybe like -10, 60. All right, and then padding dot leading, probably like 10. Aha! There we go. Looks pretty good. So we got some spacers, and we'll get our text field in. But for now, I think this is a good place to begin ending. So let's do git add all, git commit -m, end of part 1 stream, git push. You could stop. Well, so right now we don't load until refresh is pressed. If you don't want to load until refresh is pressed for the first time, I'll go ahead and show that off really quickly. So the reason why it loads when we refresh the first time is just because on the bottom here, we have on appear. Let me just find it. On appear, this on appear function, that is when we make a call. So if we were to comment out this whole function and the app would refresh, it would say get started by pressing the refresh button. Add it back in. We make one API call when we appear, and then an API call again each time we refresh. All right. I think now is a great place to start. Oh, and yes, thank you for the love and the support. I'd answer in Polish, but I don't want to alienate all of our other fun friends. All right, we've got all this. So I will go ahead and, long story short, but yeah, I'll go ahead and consolidate everything, fix up the branches, and prepare everything for a stream on Monday. In the meantime, if you have any fun ideas, we'll add in our add functions. We'll probably add in a menu, and we'll figure out favorites. And that will be our 2-part stream. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and end this stream now. Thank you all very much for coming. Going to go enjoy some lunch or dinner, depending what time it is, what you're feeling. But on that note, thank you all very much. It was lovely to hang out with such a big crowd. I loved to see it. And thank you all for all your super insightful questions. And I will see you all on Monday for the next one. Bye, folks. All right. Actually, bye for now.